Welcome to the video tutorial for the Client-Ready Service Business Kit. Everything you just saw is the kit you purchased. This kit is designed for service business owners ready to work with clients and need the materials to do so. Over the weekend, we will help you get client ready. Here is what you have: 6 components, each doing a specific job. The Start Here guide connects them all. The workbook is where every decision gets made: service, pricing, ideal client, voice. The planner tracks what you have set up and what is coming in. The communication templates cover every message, from inquiry to close. The client-facing templates are what your clients see. The social templates, 8 feed posts and 12 story slides, put your offer in front of the people who need it. The video covers each one in order. Watch the video all the way through once so you know what each component does and how they connect. After that, use it as a reference. When you are working on your packages, jump to the workbook segment. When you are setting up your inquiry flow, jump to the communication templates segment. Each section stands on its own. You do not need to watch them in order after the first pass. We begin with the Start Here guide. This is the single file you should read first. It maps every file in the kit and links to each from one page. It also suggests which path to follow based on your available time. Start Here guide is the first thing you open and the only thing that explains how they connect. Do not touch any other file until you have read page 2. Page 2 is your master list. Every component in the kit is linked from here: the workbook, the planner, the communication templates, the client-facing templates, the social templates, and the video tutorial. You come back to this page every time you need to find something. Each file shows the formats it comes in: Canva, Sheets, Excel, Docs, Word, PDF. Tap the label to open the original. Then, before you type a single word, make a copy. That copy is yours to edit. The original stays clean, so you can always return to it. The 6 components are designed to work together, accomplishing 3 main jobs: clarity, communication, and presence. Everything builds in this specific order. The one rule: all major decisions live in the workbook. If a template feels difficult to customize, you're likely missing an answer from the workbook. Go back, decide, and then return to the template. Regardless of your path, your first move is the same. Open the workbook and complete the business snapshot and core service builder. Then choose your path: 1 day for quick materials or 3 days for full clarity before launch. Client ready is not a feeling. It is 5 things. You can describe your service in 1 sentence. You have a starting price. You know what to say when someone reaches out. You have 1 polished document to send. Your profile points to a clear next step. That is it. That is enough to book your first client. Everything else gets refined once real clients start responding. Before you edit anything, work in a copy, replace every bracketed placeholder, and change the words before the design: service, scope, pricing, and links first, then colors and photos. You do not have to change the colors at all. The palette and the Poppins font are already set in every template, chosen to look calm and premium out of the box. 1 guardrail if you keep them: terracotta is an accent. Labels, arrows, and numbers, never large areas. And if you have your own brand, set up your brand kit in Canva and apply it to each template, or simply swap the palette and font for your own. Keep 1 accent color and let the rest stay quiet. Before sharing anything with a client, use this checklist for setup. If something is not working, the troubleshooting table here covers the most common issues: download errors, Canva behaving unexpectedly, or formatting issues. The last row sends you back to the workbook if a template still feels hard to fill in. You've completed the guide. Page 2 has all your links, and page 9 helps with troubleshooting. Next up is the workbook, where every decision that powers the rest of this kit gets made. This is the workbook, the first file you open in the kit and the one everything else depends on. Before you edit a single template, you need to decide what your service is, who it is for, and what you charge. This file is where you work that out. When it is done, every other template becomes easy to fill in. The workbook covers every decision your business needs before you can use the rest of the kit. Service, pricing, ideal client, voice, inquiry process, all of it lives here. You do not need to complete it all at once. Work through the sections in order, one at a time, and come back when something changes. The workbook starts with clarity, not design. The first 3 sections, business snapshot, ideal client, and service menu, are the foundation. Every template in the kit has brackets waiting for answers that come from here. Fill this file first, and the templates become fast. Skip it, and the templates feel impossible because you are trying to decide and design at the same time. Before you dive in, look at page 3. It maps 2 paths through the whole kit, a 1-day sprint and a 3-day build, so you can match the process to the time you have. The 1-day path is for someone whose service is already clear and just needs the materials. 3 days is for building clarity first, then packaging, then launching. Both paths start in the same place, the business snapshot. Here are the 2 columns side by side. The 1-day path is 6 items: snapshot, 1 core service, a starting price, your profile bio, an inquiry reply, and 1 offer post, a working version by tonight. The 3-day path spreads the same workout. Day 1, you clarify. Day 2, you package. Day 3, you launch, with room to review and refine. Either way, the first item is the same, the business snapshot. Section 1 is the business snapshot. This is a short set of questions that forces you to describe your business in plain language, what you do, who you help, and what problem you solve. These answers will appear in your templates later, so write them the way you talk. As you fill in the snapshot, think of one specific person you have worked with or want to work with. Not a type, a real person. Write your answers for that person. Generic answers produce generic templates. Specific answers produce materials that feel like they were written for the person reading them. That specificity is what makes someone book. Fill in the fields with the first honest answer that comes to mind. If the answer is long, shorten it until it fits in 1 sentence. If it is vague, make it specific. The test? Could someone who does not know you read this and understand your offer? Page 6 is where you write your 1-line description, the sentence that answers, "So what do you do at a dinner party?" Not a tagline, not a mission statement. A plain explanation that a stranger can understand in 10 seconds. This sentence will go into your bio, your profile, and the header of your client-facing templates. Getting it right here means you never have to write it again. This page asks a specific question. What is your client struggling with, and how does your service help? Not what you do, what they need solved. The table walks you from the client's before to their after, what they are dealing with, and what changes once you step in. This pairing is the engine behind every piece of communication you write. Templates that convert have this baked in. Here is the table up close. Fill in at least 3 rows. The problem your client needs solved, what they have already tried, why that did not work, and how your service helps. Make each row a real story. Say you set up websites. Maya's booking page confuses people. What she tried? A free template. Why it did not work? It looked fine, but nobody booked. How you help? You rebuild the page so booking takes 1 click. The middle columns do the selling. When you name what someone already tried and why it failed, your service becomes the way out of a dead end. That is what makes them reach out. Page 9 is the ideal client profile. Your job here is to describe one person in enough detail that you would recognize them if they emailed you. What is their current situation? What do they want? What feels difficult? What do they fear wasting money or time on? The more precisely you can answer those questions, the more directly your templates will speak to the right people. Page 10 pairs hesitations with trust signals. Every potential client has an objection that keeps them from booking. Too expensive, too much time, not sure it will work for my situation. Write down the top hesitations your ideal client has, then what they would need to believe to move past each one, then the proof you can show. That middle column is the bridge most people skip. Those answers go into your proposal, your inquiry reply, and your social posts. You are not waiting for these doubts to be voiced. You are addressing them before they come up. Section 3 is the service menu. This is where you move from describing your business to defining what you sell. You will list everything you could offer, then narrow it to the one service you are launching with. Then build a 3-tier package structure around it. Do this section before you open any template. Your packages are the core content of your proposal and pricing guide. The service inventory is a brain dump. Every service you could offer, every deliverable, every type of client you could work with. Write them all down without filtering. Once the list is on the page, look for patterns. What keeps coming up? What does the ideal client from page 9 need most? Then use the 2 columns on the right to choose. Is it easy to deliver, and do people already ask for it? The service that scores yes on both is your core service. Take it to the next page. The core service builder is where you define the service you chose. Who is it for? What problem does it solve? And what outcome does the client get? What is included? And just as important, what is not? How long does it take? And how do clients book? Notice there is no price field yet. Pricing gets its own section after the service is defined. Fill in every field. When this page is complete, you have a fully specified service that you can describe consistently in every template, every email, and every conversation. Page 14 is the package table. 3 tiers: starter, core, and premium. The starter is a small, low-commitment version of your service. It lowers the barrier for someone who wants to try working with you. The core is your main offer. The premium adds access, speed, or scope for clients who want more. Having 3 tiers lets a client self-select rather than deciding whether to buy at all. Here is the table up close. Fill in each column: who it is best for, what is included, the delivery time, and the price. As you build upward, each tier should add real value, not just more deliverables, but more of what the higher-paying client wants, whether that is faster turnaround, more access to you, or a broader scope. When the table is filled in, your proposal template becomes a copy-paste job. Page 16 is the pricing inputs page. Before you choose a number, this page makes you estimate what goes into the work: the time, the tools and costs, the value to the client, the difficulty, the revisions and support after delivery, and your own confidence level. Most people who sell their own services price from anxiety, what feels low enough not to be rejected. This page flips that. When the price comes from inputs you can point to, you can say it out loud without flinching and defend it when a client asks. This is the brand voice page. Voice is not an aesthetic choice. It is a consistency decision. If you sound warm and casual in your inquiry reply, but formal in your proposal, clients get a mixed signal about who they are hiring. The 5 sliders on this page lock in your voice across every written piece: warm or formal, simple or expert, playful or serious, direct or gentle, accessible or premium. Set them once and use them as a filter every time you write. Here are the sliders close up. For each scale, mark where your brand should sit. This is a decision, not a personality test. Then write one example of what that sounds like. For instance, if you choose the direct end of the direct gentle scale, I am going to be straight with you about what this project will require. That example is your calibration point. When you are editing a template later and something sounds off, compare it to your chosen statement here. The Profile Bio Builder on page 20 takes the answers you have already written, your one-line description, your ideal client, your outcome statement, and assembles them into a bio. You are not starting from a blank page. You are pulling from what you already worked out. Fill in the prompts in order, and a bio appears. Then trim it to fit wherever you are posting: your Instagram header, your website about section, your email signature. Page 22 is the content pillar map. A content pillar is a topic you come back to again and again. It is broader than a post idea and narrower than your whole industry. You define 4 to 6 of them here, and every piece of content you make falls into one. This is what keeps your social posts and your website feeling coherent rather than random. Once the pillars are set, the social templates have their categories. Give each pillar a main message and one sample post to get started. Page 25 maps your inquiry flow, every step from the first message to the booked, delivered project. Most service businesses have this process in their head, but not on paper, which means it varies every time and breaks down at the same spot repeatedly. Map all 7 stages here: the inquiry, your reply, the intake or call, your recommendation, payment, onboarding, and delivery with follow-up. Once it is on the page, the communication templates give you the words for each step. Page 26 is the first response script builder. When someone reaches out for the first time, your response sets the tone for the whole relationship. The script builder walks you through exactly what to include: an opening line that acknowledges the inquiry, the next step, and the information you need before you can recommend anything. Then it combines into one reusable script. Fill this in once, and you have a response you can send in 2 minutes to every new inquiry. Page 28 is the launch checklist. Being client-ready is not a feeling you are waiting for. It is a checklist. Offer clear, profile updated, inquiry path clear, first response ready, booking and payment set, plus 2 rows to add your own. Each item is a binary, done or not done. If a box is not checked, you know exactly which section of the workbook to revisit. When every box is checked, you are ready. That is the standard. Page 29 is the final snapshot. Your business on one page once the workbook is complete. Service, client, price, channel, next action. If you ever feel unclear about a direction you are heading in, come back to this page. If it still matches what you are doing, you are on track. If it does not, something has changed, and the workbook is the place to update it first. The last page of the workbook does not congratulate you. It tells you to go. Start with one clear service, one clear price, one clear profile, and one clear next step. You can refine after your first bookings. And when things do change, come back here first. Update the workbook, and every template downstream follows. The structure you built is the foundation. Everything from here on builds on top of it. This concludes the workbook. Every answer you wrote here is going to do work for you in the files that follow. The planner uses your packages and pricing. The communication templates use your service description and your first response script. The client-facing and social templates use your bio and your voice. You do not have to make those decisions again. They are made. Next up, the planner. The Client Readiness Planner is where the decisions you made in the workbook become an organized working setup. Where the workbook is for thinking, this is for tracking. It has 6 tabs: a Start Here tab that sets the whole file up, one for shaping your offer, one for pricing it, one for checking what is ready to launch, one for tracking the people who inquire, and one for tracking the clients you book. You do not need to fill all of them before you start. Use the tab that answers your next question. Let us walk through each one. Open the planner. You are on the Start Here tab. This is where you begin. Fill in the 7 fields on the left: your business or service name, what you help with, who you want to help, your main service, your starting price, where people will find you, and the next step you want a buyer to take. This takes 5 minutes. The planner guide on the right maps each step to its tab. Do not try to complete every tab at once. Use the tab that answers your next question. The note at the bottom says it clearly. Fill in Start Here, draft 1 main service, choose 1 starting price, and complete the launch checklist. That is your first pass. Go to the Offer Planner tab. The rows are already structured as a ladder: a small starter offer, your main service, and a bigger support option. Start with the middle row, your main service, and fill in who it is for, what problem it solves, what they get, what is included and not included, how it is delivered, and the timeline. The plain language test sits right on the tab. Someone should understand the offer without needing a sales call first. The starter and bigger rows can wait. It is fine to launch with only the main service and add the others later. Go to Simple Pricing. For each offer, enter your estimated hours and your hourly goal. The planner calculates an estimated minimum for you. That minimum is a floor, not a ceiling. It tells you the price below which you would be undercharging for the time involved. Enter your chosen price in the last column. If your chosen price is below the minimum, do not lower the inputs to make the number fit. Either raise the price or shrink what the offer includes. Pick one price to publish first. You can revise as you learn what the market responds to. The goal is a number you can stand behind, not a perfect number. The launch checklist tells you what needs to be in place before you can take clients. Each row is one task, organized by area: offer, pricing, profile, content, client flow, payment, launch, tracking, and review, with a priority level, a due date, and a status. Start with the high priority items. These are the tasks where a missing piece will stop a booking or a payment from happening. Mark each one done when you complete it. You do not need everything finished before you open. The checklist distinguishes between what is required to launch and what can follow. Look at the status column. The color coding tells you where things stand at a glance. Done turns green, in progress blue, blocked purple, and not started stays gray. If you have blocked items, find what is stopping them. In most cases, one upstream task unlocks several at once. Use the due date column to keep yourself honest. If a date has passed and the status has not changed, that task needs attention now. Work through the high priority items in order, and you will have a launchable service setup faster than you expect. When someone reaches out about your service, through a message, a referral, or a contact form, add a row to the inquiry tracker immediately. Do not rely on memory. Fill in the date, their name, how to reach them, where they came from, and what they are interested in. The most important columns are status and next step. Every row should have a clear next step, so you know exactly what to do the next time you open this tab. At the bottom, you will find the Quick Use Guide. It lists the suggested status labels and explains that the light green cells are the editable input fields. Here is the working end of the tracker: status, next step, and follow-up date. Status and next step work together. Every open inquiry should have both filled in, so you know exactly where things stand and what to do next. The follow-up date keeps you honest. If a date passes and nothing has happened, that inquiry needs your attention. The earlier columns captured who the person is. These three are what you act on each time you open the tab. Once a client books, move them to the client tracker, one row per client. Enter the service, start date, due date, payment status, and work status. The intake sent column is a reminder to send your intake form after booking. This is the step most people skip when they are excited about a new client. The testimonial asked column is the same idea, a prompt to request feedback after delivery, while the experience is still fresh. The work status column gives you a view across all active clients at once, so nothing falls through the cracks. You have 9 client messages, one for each key moment in a service relationship, from the first inquiry to bringing a past client back. None of them need to be written from scratch. This walkthrough shows you how to use them and when to send each one. Using any of these templates takes about 2 minutes. Open the one that fits the moment. Replace every bracket, like name or service type, with the real detail for this client. Delete the lines that do not apply to this situation. End every message with one clear next step: a specific date, a link, or a single action they need to take. One thing to get right: the brackets are not suggestions. Every bracket is something that must be replaced before you send. A message that goes out with name still in it tells the client you copied something without reading it. Here are the 9 messages and the order they follow. Inquiry reply is your first response to someone who reaches out. Discovery call confirmation locks in the next meeting. Client intake gets you the information you need before you quote. Proposal outline turns that conversation into a clear recommendation. Package recommendation follows if the client is still comparing options. Onboarding welcome kicks off the project. Delivery follow-up closes the work. Testimonial request asks for feedback while the experience is still fresh. Repeat service prompt brings a past client back. You do not need to use all 9. Start with the ones that match where you are right now. Most people begin with the inquiry reply, the intake questions, and the proposal. The others are ready when you need them. The inquiry reply is the most important message in this set. It is the one that decides whether a conversation moves forward or goes quiet. Look at the structure. At the top, a subject line with the project type in brackets. Below that, a purpose table telling you exactly when to use this template. Then, the copy-paste template itself. Notice the template does not answer the inquiry directly. It does not quote a price or describe your services. It asks 3 focused questions: what the person wants to create or resolve, their timeline, and any materials that would help you understand the project. That is intentional. You are gathering what you need to give an accurate recommendation, not making promises before you have enough information. Now, look closely at the inquiry reply. The power of this template is what it holds back. It does not name a price, and it does not pitch your services. It asks for 3 things and stops. If the person already gave you one of them in their first message, delete that line and acknowledge what they said instead. Nothing makes a reply feel more canned than asking for something they just told you. One habit worth building: before you send, read the message once as the client would receive it. If a line could have been sent to anyone, you missed a bracket. Before you write a proposal, you need specific information. Template 3 gives you 7 intake questions to send as an email: project type, desired outcome, audience, materials to review, constraints, timeline, and budget range. You do not need to include all 7. Pick the 4 or 5 that tell you what you need to quote accurately. For a smaller project, 3 questions may be enough. For a complex or ongoing engagement, use the full list. Send this template after a discovery call when you want written answers before committing to a scope, or when someone comes in ready to hire but has not given you enough detail yet. Getting this information up front means your proposal lands on the first attempt, instead of requiring multiple rounds of clarification. Look at the structure of the proposal. First, the primary objective, one sentence stating what you will accomplish, using the client's language from the intake. Then, the recommendation, which service and why it fits. Then, the scope, split into what is included and what is not. Then, the timeline and the investment. And last, a single forward action. That last part is the one most proposals leave out. Every proposal should close with one specific instruction: reply to approve, sign here by Friday, submit payment through this link. Not let me know what you think. A vague close produces a vague response. A specific close produces a decision. The not included section matters as much as the scope itself. Clients sometimes sign proposals without fully understanding what was never part of the work. Spelling out what is excluded prevents that conversation from happening after the project starts. Once a client says yes and completes payment, send the onboarding message within a few hours. Clients get anxious between signing and starting. There is often a gap of days or weeks where nothing visible happens. This message removes that anxiety. The template does 3 things: confirms the project is starting, lists what happens next in numbered steps, and gives the client 1 or 2 key dates. If you use a shared tool, a folder, a project board, an intake form, this is where you send the link. The communication note field at the bottom sets the expectation for how and when you respond. Filling this in now prevents the client from feeling ignored when you do not reply on weekends or outside your working hours. The testimonial request works best when sent within 48 hours of final delivery, while the experience is still clear and the result is still fresh. Waiting a week means the client has moved on and the specifics fade. The template includes 4 prompts you can offer the client: what they needed help with before you worked together, what changed or became easier, what the process felt like, and what they would tell someone considering your services. These prompts produce specific, useful testimonials. Here is the difference. A generic testimonial says, "She was great, very professional." That tells a potential client nothing they can act on. A testimonial from these prompts says, "Before this, I had no pricing structure and was undercharging every client. After 1 session, I had a package system I could finally explain and sell." That is what someone deciding whether to hire you needs to read. 9 messages, every stage covered. Start this week with the inquiry reply, the intake questions, and the proposal. Those 3 handle the front end of every new client relationship. Save the rest in a folder you can find quickly and use them as the moments come up. Next, the client-facing templates. These are the 6 templates your clients see. Not internal notes, not worksheets, but the materials you send out into the world. The proposal, the welcome packet, the FAQ. The decisions that go into them were already made in your workbook. Now those answers become polished, client-facing templates. Fill them in once, and you have materials that represent your business at the same level as the work itself. Page 2 shows you the 6 templates and when to use each one. There is a template for every stage of the client relationship: before they hire you, when they say yes, and while the project is running. You do not send all 6 to every client. You pick the one that fits the moment. Read this page first, then open the template for the stage you are in right now. One warning: each template opens with a dark guide page marked for you, the buyer. Those pages explain when and how to use the template. They are never sent to a client. The service menu is what you share with someone who is interested but not yet ready to commit. It answers the question they have before they ask it: what do you offer and what does it cost? This is not a price list. It is a positioned overview of your packages that helps the right client self-select. The cover page establishes your name, your specialty, and one sentence about who you serve. Start here before you open the options page. Here are the 3 package columns: Starter, Core, and Premium, that you built in the workbook's package table. Every bracket on this page maps directly to a workbook answer: the package name, what is included, the timeline, and the investment, plus the one line who it is for under each tier name. All of that is already written. Open your workbook answers alongside this template, and it fills in minutes. When a prospect asks what you charge, this is what you send. The proposal is what you send once you have had a discovery call or exchange, and you know what the client needs. This is not a generic menu. It is a specific recommendation for this client, based on what they told you. The cover establishes that this is custom built: their name, your name, the project. That specificity is what converts a prospect into a paying client. They can see that you listened. The investment page is where many service providers lose confidence. They have done the work of writing the recommendation, and then they hedge on the price. This template removes the hedge. The structure presents the investment as one clear number, followed by its terms: the deposit, when the balance is due, how to pay, the refund policy, and how long the offer stands. You fill in your package price from the workbook. Then you hold the line. The template is designed to present the number as a statement, not an apology. The welcome packet goes out the moment a client signs. Most people send a quick email: excited to work with you. I will be in touch. This is the difference between that and a structured onboarding packet that tells the client exactly what to expect. The first impression after they say yes shapes how they show up for the whole project. A clear welcome packet means fewer questions, fewer delays, and a client who trusts the process before it starts. This is the What Happens Next page. 5 numbered steps from booking to project start, already written. Complete the intake form, share the required materials, you review everything, work begins, updates are sent. Your job is the brackets: the intake link, the folder for materials, and the channel and schedule for updates. When a new client gets this page, they know exactly what to do next. That clarity is worth more than the prettiest cover page in the packet. The client checklist is a 1-page intake list. Everything you need from the client before you can start work: access to accounts, brand assets, copy, approvals. Ask for it once, in writing, at the beginning. The reason this matters is simple. When a project stalls because you are waiting on something the client forgot to send, the delay feels like your fault. This page makes it visible that you asked and that the ball is in their court. The process overview shows the client the full arc of working with you, from first inquiry all the way to final delivery. You built this flow in your workbook's inquiry flow map. Now it becomes a visual map the client can refer to at any point in the project. 6 stages, already written: inquiry, intake or call, recommendation, approval, project work, and delivery. You only adjust the wording if your process differs. When a client asks, "Where are we at?" or "What comes next?" they already have the answer. The process feels professional because it is documented, not improvised. The FAQ answers the questions clients ask repeatedly before and during a project. You already identified the top hesitations in your workbook's Trust Signals page. This is where those answers live in a client-facing format. When someone reads your proposal and worries about what happens if they need to make changes or whether the timeline is flexible, this page answers it before they have to ask. The client feels informed. You feel less interrupted. Fill in the questions that come up most often for your specific service. That is the full client-facing set. 6 templates, every stage of the client relationship covered. The work now is to open each one, fill in the brackets from your workbook answers, and save a clean copy. Once that is done, every new client gets the same polished experience with almost no extra work from you. Next up, social templates. These are your social templates, 8 square posts and 12 story slides. You do not have to write any of the content from scratch. Every bracket in these templates maps directly to an answer you already wrote in your workbook. Your one-line description, your ideal client, your service, your outcome. Fill the brackets, post, and your offer is visible. The guide page maps all 8 square posts and when to use each one. You do not post all 8 at once. You start with 3, the About post, one of the service offer or the service menu, and how it works. Those 3 do most of the work: who you serve, what you sell, and how the process runs. The rest are ready when you need them: an FAQ, a client result, an availability post, the service menu, and a referral ask. Read the guide once, then open the About post first. The About post is your introduction, not a bio, not a tagline, but a direct statement of who you help and what changes for them. The structure is built around a single formula: I help client type, with problem or goal, so they can outcome. That sentence is the entire post. The 3 lines underneath are your best 4 list, the specific situations where your service is the right fit. When someone reads this and thinks, "This is me," they click your link. Here is the mechanism that makes all 20 templates fast to fill. The headline formula, I help blank client type with blank problem or goal so they can blank outcome, is your one-line description from workbook page 6, bracket for bracket. The 3 best 4 lines come from your ideal client profile: their situation, what feels difficult, what they want, reframed as 3 situations. Open the workbook alongside this template and it fills in inside 10 minutes. Every other post in this set works the same way: brackets in, workbook out. The service offer post is a direct description of your core package: the service name, who it is best for, 3 deliverables, a timeline, and a single call to action. This is the post you put out when you are ready to take inquiries. The format is intentionally simple: one service, clearly explained, with a clear next step. Your package details come straight from the core service builder in the workbook. Fill in the brackets, and this becomes the post that drives your first booking. The client result post is where a real outcome from a real client does the selling. The structure has 3 parts: the situation the client was in before, what changed, and a quote or result in their words. Notice the difference between a weak version and a strong one. Weak: she was really happy with the result. Strong: before working with her, I had no idea what to charge. Now I have a full client roster at my real rate. Use your actual client's words wherever you can. Specificity is what makes someone reading this think, that could be me. The story slides are organized into 4 carousels. Each one is a sequence of 3 slides posted together, telling one arc. Carousel 1 introduces you and opens the conversation. Carousel 2 walks through how you work. Carousel 3 makes the offer and names the price. Carousel 4 is the availability arc: real openings, who they are for, and what happens when they fill. You post each carousel as a unit. The guide page tells you which slides belong to each carousel and what order they go in. Start with Carousel 1. And one rule from the guide worth keeping: only post the availability carousel when you truly have an opening. Here is Carousel 1 as it gets posted: 3 slides, 1 sequence. The first slide asks a qualifying question that your ideal client will answer yes to in their head. The second tells them what they get if they work with you. The third is the call to action, reach out. You post these 3 in order in a single story session. The person who sees all 3 has been introduced to you, told what you offer, and given a clear next step. That is a complete introduction in under 60 seconds. Carousel 2 is the how it works arc. It lowers the fear of committing by showing the client what working with you actually looks like. The first slide names a step. The second splits the work into 2 columns, what you handle and what the client does, so nobody is unsure who owns what. The third slide points to the next step, so the sequence feels like a path, not a leap. This is the carousel that turns interest into confidence. People hire when the process feels safe. Carousel 3 is the offer arc. The first slide names the service clearly, what it is and who it is for. The second slide describes the outcome, not what is included, but what changes for the client after the work is done. The third slide names the price directly. The order matters, outcome before investment. When someone has seen what changes for them first, the price lands as a decision, not a shock. Your core package price from the workbook goes in the investment slide, a real number stated plainly. Carousel 4 is the availability arc, and it runs on honesty. The first slide states how many spots are open. The second is the right for you if filter. 3 lines that let the wrong client opt out before they reach out, which saves you both time. The third handles the moment the spots fill. It names when the next opening is, so a no for now does not become a lost lead. One rule carries over from the guide. Only post this carousel when you genuinely have an opening. Fake scarcity is the fastest way to lose the trust the other 3 carousels built. That is the social template set. 3 square posts, about, service offer, and client result, and 4 story carousels, all built on the 2 guide layouts. Notice what posting no longer means, staring at a blank caption. You choose the template, drop in the words you already wrote, and publish. That completes the walkthrough of all 6 components. You have now seen all 6 components. Each one does a different job, but they are all drawing from the same source, the decisions you wrote in the workbook. That is what makes this a system rather than a collection of files. You decide once, and the decision travels. Therefore, the one rule that makes everything else work: when something in the kit feels difficult, go back to the workbook. A template that is hard to fill is not a design problem, it is a decision that has not been made yet. Return to the relevant workbook section, make the decision, write it down, then return to the template. It will be easy. This is true for the inquiry reply, the proposal, the bio, and every social post. Workbook first. If you ever lose track of a file or something stops working, return to the Start Here guide. Page 2 links every file, and page 9 covers common snags like download issues or unexpected Canva behavior. You do not need more information. You do not need to watch anything else. The answers come from working through the file, not from waiting until you feel ready. Open the workbook. Pick 1 day or 3. Begin.